Exactly. There's nothing.
Look, I'm a fat ass. I haven't worked out since I've been here. When I get back, I want a 20-mile hike.
Right.
Already set up.
Of course, you know, and it's like, you know, the only reason that we do it is because we're provocateurs, and we understand instinctively, both of us, and that's why I like you so much. We understand that free speech is meaningless if people are only saying what's already socially acceptable. You know, you have to defend free speech at the limits of free speech. You have to defend offensive speech, otherwise it means nothing.
Network, you guys didn't go to break, did you? Because I'm getting okay, I'm just getting a little bit of a feed here. Good, we did skip the break. Good job. We're like, you know, they're like Houston. We're like up here on the moon right now, except it's Cleveland. After globalism, it kind of outside the city area kind of looks like the moon, but the people here are awesome.
The mistake on the lake. They call it the mistake on the lake. You know that?
That's an awesome place.
No, I like it.
Kissing their ass. The people here are great.
I like it.
Have you felt energy here?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. And you know what's remarkable is I was told when I came to Republican National Convention, oh, there are going to be all these Christians. They're not going to like you. They're going to blank you. They're going to be frosty. I have had nothing but the warmest reception here. People walk up to me. They love me here. And, you know, it's amazing when you look at the response from, you know, the Hillary Clinton sort of Saudi-funded leftist pandering to Islam people who treat
me. If you went next week to Philadelphia, you would not be loved.
Can you imagine it? Can you imagine it?
Kissed it.
Yeah, no, exactly. And here, people come up to me with compassion and kindness and love. And I know that not all of your audience are into the Christian thing, but some of them will be. And, you know, and all I can say is, you know, even the most socially conservative Republicans, which doesn't describe either of us, the most socially conservative Republicans still come to you with kindness and decency and compassion. They're real people. They're nice people. Republicans are really nice people. I like them.
No, they don't shoot cops in the back of the head.
And they don't shoot cops in the back of the head.
For me, because I'm not on some cop butt-kissing contest, but I mean, it makes you like totally go to the side of the police.
I would enter such a competition.
Exactly. But I mean, we're sitting there, and there's people shooting police in the back, and Obama's like, well, they better reform. That's implying they deserve to die. That is so randomly killing people. Yeah. Anybody is just really gets to me.
Well, the left calls that victim blaming, don't they? You know, when a woman gets sexually assaulted for wearing a short skirt, you know, it's unacceptable to mention...
The mayor of Cologne.
Right.
Said the women deserved it.
It's unacceptable to mention the fact that she was out late in a dark alley, drunk in a miniskirt, because, of course, you know, it's absolutely, completely unacceptable to even suggest that she has any responsibility to keep herself safe.
It's okay, because her feminist thing.
Unless it's the Muslims, in which case... I mean, he literally said women should go out with companions, maybe not stay out late. You know, I was half expecting him to say maybe they should wear hijabs. You know, like, I mean, seriously, this is the double standards is so insane.
Well, let's just say it. The West is where libertarianism, the Renaissance came from. We recognized our problems and made it more open.
What's the Enlightenment, right?
Exactly. But then we look at the fact that we're not perfect, and then we all get in this thing of hating ourselves when we are the best.
The West
like
is
Jim
the best.
Jim Morrison, the West is the best.
West is the best.
And so just stop saying the open, most free place in the world is the worst, because we're willing to look in the mirror with a bunch of people that chain women up like dogs. I mean, that is the biggest load of horse manure I've ever heard.
It's true, and I'm sorry to keep bringing it back to the gay thing, but, you know, it's like 100 million people live in Muslim countries where you can be swinging from a crane for having gay sex. And over here, I'm told that I'm the problem, that I'm hateful, and, you know, that I'm the, you know, and that Christians who don't want to bake a cake for a lesbian wedding are equivalent to Sally Cohn.
Yeah, let them have their free speech. Let them lose the business.
Sally Cohn. The dumbest woman in America. This, you know, the Jewish lesbian on CNN, Sally Cohn, awful person, says that, you know, conservatives are just as bad as Muslims. You know, please, the lack of perspective on the left is so astonishing to me.
Well, they're a cult. They know they're taking over. Let's take another call here. Let's talk to Ann in Indiana. Ann in Indiana, you're on the air. Go ahead with Milo.
Media people. I love you guys.
Hi.
We love you too, Ann. What's your point?
I'm a 60-year-old grandma. I love you both. Listen, I think Hillary is just the kind of woman that you're talking about, and I'm very concerned that the Clinton crime machine is going to steal this election with voter fraud and take it over with Fox News and everything else. What can we do to combat this other than being...
Raise the alarm. They hope we all just don't notice it, go to sleep. Point out this country is in a death battle. The greatest, like you said, everybody says this every election. No, this, you can feel the energy, you can see it. This is critical.
You can tell from what's going on in the streets. You can tell how excited people are on both sides. You've got Trump supporters who generally are well-mannered, fun, joyous, like the meme brigade. You know, you've probably been on the Donald, the Reddit, you know, the subreddit. They're the most fun people on the internet. They're so great. You know, the fantastic, lively, good-natured discussions. Really smart, too. Like, really, really smart people. And then you've got, you know, the hateful, horrific, lesbianic, and Black Lives Matter mobs, you know. But both groups of people excited, really innovated about this election. I've never seen anything quite like that. I mean, I guess if you're worried about voter fraud, the answer is make sure Donald Trump gets a landslide, so there's really nothing they can do, and it just reduces majority from, 10% to 2 or whatever, but at least he wins.
That is the answer, man. Thank you so much. Any other points? She's gone. I got a bunch of other callers, but the fourth hour is coming up. Who's hosting the fourth hour today? Talking to Houston. Anthony Gucciardi's hosting the fourth hour with a bunch of clips, blow downs, the communists attacking, all the latest footage, everything else. Milo, I look forward to having you back on the broadcast with us.
I would love that.
And the callers, we're going to get to you after he's gone. But I appreciate you coming here and realizing this is a good place for open free speech live on the radio to almost 200 stations. And, of course, on the internet. We got about 60 seconds. Any other points?
Thank you very much for having me. It's been a long time coming. I hope everybody enjoyed it. And yeah, I'd love to come back on again. It's very, very important, I think, to realize that America is at a crossroads in this election. I come to you as a warning from Europe. We have, don't follow our future. Don't go in for Islamicization.
And listen, regardless of whose speech it is, yours, I agree with almost all your speech, but you're under attack, man. They're shutting you down. We're next. This is a major canary in the coal mine that got double X's in the eyes here. We've got to revive him over here. All right, we'll be back in 70 seconds with Anthony Gucciardi. Milo, thank you so much.
Thanks, buddy.
Great job. Great job, the crew, too, and the rest of your crew.
The long sought-after pieces exposing the true players behind the funding of the attack on the United States on September 11th, 2001 are finally, albeit slowly, being revealed. The Bush family caught in the crosshairs of public outcry, and now the evidence is stacking up. Paul Joseph Watson writes, Bush operative Ron Kaufman was seen pulling committee members from the meeting and begging members not to embarrass the president. The 28 pages were originally classified by the Bush administration in 2002 on national security grounds, but pressure had been building for the release ever since. And now the heavily redacted version of the 28 pages have been released. Adon Salazar writes, while in the United States, some of the September 11th hijackers were in contact with and received support or assistance from individuals who may be connected to the Saudi government. There is information, primarily from FBI sources, that at least 2 of those individuals were alleged by some to be Saudi intelligence officers. The intelligence community also has information, much of which has yet to be independently verified, indicating that individuals associated with the Saudi government in the United States may have other ties to Al-Qaeda and other terrorist groups. Joint inquiry officials also commented that the CIA and FBI's failure to address the Saudi issue was unacceptable. Previously, several law enforcement agents, including the FBI and police, came forward with statements that investigations were inhibited when it came to looking at Saudi Arabia's role. The FBI was thwarted from interviewing the Saudis we wanted to interview by the White House, said former FBI agent and investigator Mark Rossini, who added the White House let them off the hook. Questions still remain given White House advisor Richard Clarke's admitted involvement in removing Saudi officials from the country following the 9/11 attacks. The New York Times reported in 2003 that Clarke had said he agreed to the extraordinary plan because the Federal Bureau of Investigation assured him that the departing Saudis were not linked to terrorism. And now those 28 pages have possibly led down a crooked path right to Hillary Clinton herself. The Nixon-esque Saudi-backed Democratic candidate for president of the United States. Rough numbers show that Hillary's campaign has raked in funding anywhere from 20 to 40% from the Saudi government, spurred on by her close association with the mysterious Huma Abedin. Breitbart reported the World Assembly of Muslim Youth is specifically named as having connections to terror funding and support for a number of worldwide terror groups. The Abedin family business is an academic group called the Institute for Muslim Minority Affairs that is based in the London offices of the World Assembly of Muslim Youth and its parent organization, the Muslim World League. Page 24 of the 28 pages discusses Osama bin Laden's half-brother and says in part, according to the FBI, Abdullah bin Laden has a number of connections to terrorist organizations. He is the president and director of the World Arab Muslim Youth Association and the Institute of Islamic and Arabic Science in America. Both organizations are local branches of non-governmental organizations, NGOs, based in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. In 1998, the CIA published a paper characterizing WAMI as an NGO that provides funding, logistical support, and training with possible connections to the Arab Afghans Network, Hamas, Algerian extremists, and Philippine militants. Although the 28 pages make no mention of Abedin at all, the information in the 28 pages lays out a timeline of events during the planning and execution of the 9/11 terror attack that shows that, at all times, Huma Abedin was working for both Hillary Clinton and the WAMI organization, the Institute for Muslim Minority Affairs. The whole plan is now blindingly obvious. Essentially, Saudi Arabia funded the Bush administration's double cross of the American people on 9/11, whereby, as a result, the Eurasian strategy, as foreseen by Zbigniew Brzezinski, would have the American people's war machine stirring up the Middle East until the time came when that chaos would be exported to Europe and the United States, as is abundantly evident today.
Namely, in earlier times.
The fourth hour, it's the Alex Jones Show. I'm Anthony Gucciardi. And man, what a good interview with Milo. Alex and Milo going back and forth. And it's funny because political correctness, it claims, itself, rather, the establishment that backs political correctness and the people that buy into it, it claims that, it's going to help flourish and create safer ideas and concepts and create a safe space for us to discuss ideas. But in fact, it's the total opposite. It's word domination. It's idea domination. It's restriction of vocabulary. It's restriction of thought. It's restriction of growth in every single area because you're not allowed to go into certain areas. You're not allowed to talk about certain things, right? And what happens when you restrict things? Well, number one, you don't get to explore the fullness, the full spectrum of ideas and the world. You don't get to discuss certain things on air. Like we're not allowed to talk about things on this program here that could offend people, right? And what's really funny is a lot of it that it attacks, I'm sure there is real racism, real discrimination, whatever, is such ridiculousness that you are then turning it into a form of political control. Clearly, a lot of you know this, but it's a political control that is deeply rooted. Now, the opposite of what they want to happen, though, is happening. And people aren't buying it. People are not buying any of it. And I think, I was just talking before I got on the show, we are in the most organic time in human history in the spread of information and the spread of ideas, despite the attempts to quell every single angle of it. We are in the most ridiculous times, the most amazing times, the most best of times, worst of times. Look at someone like Milo getting banned from Twitter. Whether you agree with him or not, and that's the details, right? We always lose because we don't know the details. Milo, even if you don't agree with him, well, gee, it's not good that he gets banned from Twitter because someone gets offended. That's probably not a good thing. But the fact that he gets banned then creates the so-called Barbra Streisand effect where everyone actually cares, and then it turns into an insane viral thing throughout the internet on Twitter and social media and Facebook. Just like when the communists attacked Alex the other day. We're going to play some videos about that coming up on the show, too, about how the communists attacked Alex, some video angles in a Facebook report you haven't seen. And we're also going to play the communist lights self on fire while burning U.S. flag. Yes. But what happens when someone who's so upset that instead of discussing something, they have to go up and start trampling someone they disagree with, which is the communists attacking Alex? What happens? Did they get their point across? Did they really get a victory? No, they made Alex the #1 trend on Twitter. They made him one of the top posts on social media, one of the biggest news stories. It's on the nightly news across the United States. They made it bigger. They made it bigger. So just like they try to force political correctness and word policing on our languages and our thoughts, it's going to blow back, and it already has. So now everything is way more organic. The news coming in, the mainstream media systems coming in and trying to silence things and turn into a race-baiting issue is not working anymore. It's just not working. People aren't having it. They're fighting back. And that is as above, so below. We see it on a micro level with what just happened to Alex with the communists attacking him. That's a geopolitical phenomenon that's happening right now. It's not working. We're pushing back, and it actually is a form of victory. So whether or not the main thread of Donald Trump and everything you agree with, the point is, guess what? The narrative isn't controlled anymore. It's freaking them out, and we're pushing through the cracks like grass sprouting through the sidewalk. And it's pretty much the most organic time in history because we can instantly put out information. This is going out to millions of people over time through live stream,